Hello, howdy, hi, welcome. Come on in. I'm only a little bit late, and it's just because I was futzing with formatting, formatting the PowerPoint, I don't know. I was like, well, I want it to look good, and I still don't know if I feel like it looks good. I gotta be real, but we can futz no longer. But yeah, howdy, welcome. I'm excited because we're talking about stuff I like. As opposed to all those days where I don't. You know, all those streams I do where I end up talking about things that make me miserable. But yeah. I have my music is too loud in my own ears. um um the glockenspiel intro twins talking is always cathartic. So yeah, I have gathered. I took like a whole evening doing this. so, yeah. Talk about artists, and I've also got links to all of them that I will be posting in chat, so you guys can also check them out on the Tweeter Totter. I only have links to their Twitters. A lot of them also have like Pixives and like other websites, and also not all of them do have Twitters. So you know, I've collected everything I can, but unfortunately, you know, some of them just aren't on Twitter, it seems. So, wowee. Instead of working, twins made a presentation. It was the evening. Like, it was after work. But yeah, let's start talking about art that I love. I'm excited. Obviously, first up is Shiro Miwa. You all have heard me talk about him endlessly. I love Shiro's art. Here is a link to his Twitter. And if you're watching the VOD, if you're one of my VOD warriors on YouTube, I will be posting all of these either in the description or in a pinned comment as well. So, wahoo hooray. I adore Shiro's art. He's excellent. He has his own manga. It's Dogs, Bullets, and Carnage, but I feel like it hasn't been worked on in forever. He mostly does character designs. So, Shiro's a guy, yeah, he is. And so what we're gonna do is we're also gonna look at, I've chosen 3 pictures from each artist so we can get a real good look at them and what they do. I want to make sure I'm out of the way, so let me just scoot the art over. Oh, but then you guys are in the way. I'll just move. I'll just get rid of myself. No. Here, let me grab me and get me out of the way a little bit so that you guys can see the pretty pictures all good. Some of them are full size images, so you know, some of them are gonna be, there's only so much I can do. There we go. Kind of just wander on over here a little bit. Great. Okay, so Shiro. I really love Shiro's art, and something that I love so much about it is that Shiro has, look at you, Sariza, thinking about portals. Shiro has a really great grasp on the 3rd dimension. Shiro's art consistently, like, I'm always going on and on about his foreshortening. He's great at foreshortening. And what I mean by that is exemplified in everything he does, really. But specifically, like, there's always a level of depth to his art, where things are clearly closer or further away. And that's all of his pictures. This has a really excellent level of foreshortening, with their legs being closer to camera than you know, the rest of their torsos. And it just gives us so much depth. There's always this level of depth to Shiro's art that I crave. I love it, I adore it, and I wish with my whole heart I could learn how to do it as well as he does. Because he does it without even just heavily casting shadows. I see that a lot, and that looks great too. Where people will have the things further away from camera very, very shaded, and that looks excellent, but Shiro doesn't need to rely on that in order to still convey so much dimension to his art. His hands are really gorgeous. I think he's working on another art book, and I think it's deadass gonna be called, like, Hands. Cause he's in a hands phase right now. You can really tell. He loves drawing them, and thank goodness, because he's so good at it. And something, I've got his art book. I've got Shiro's art book. And something I always find myself looking at in it are the sketches. There are a handful of pages that are like just sketches from notebooks. And I love them because it shows you how he thinks about formatting whilst even in the earliest phases of working on art. And I've moved to this page to really show that, where this isn't a sketch, you know, they're all rendered, but clearly thought had to get put into where they all were and how all their poses were, and like that's not new. Shiro's not the only artist on earth who makes a rough sketch that plans out, you know, a composition, but looking at his sketch pages show you that he's always planning composition in a world where I do so often find myself drawing characters that are just standing still in a void. It's never that with Shiro. Even pictures that are made to show off characters like this, yeah, we're always getting an interesting, dynamic composition. No one is just ever just standing. Even if they are standing, they're doing something. They're winding up an attack. They are, you know, like, you can see that they're, like, boasting. Like, we're always getting character and information alongside the design, which I value so much, that he puts character first and not just, and then I drew them standing still and boringly so then I could draw the outfit. It's something I know I struggle with, I know a lot of us struggle with, and he makes it look so effortless. Do you think there are any similarities between the artists you like? You'll see that there are things you can find that are similar, things you can find that are different. I wouldn't say there's only just like one thing I like, you know. And yeah, obviously Shiro is excellent with the use of colors. This is such a subtle one, and it's hilarious to call it subtle when, you know, a whole third of the picture is washed in this blood color. But it's the fact that he made the conscious effort to have this blood be maroon and not straight up red. Quite frankly, it wanders a lot closer to purple, which correlates with her color palette and and coexists in a much more calm way with the flowers. This isn't an aggressive blood. It's nearly somber. And I just, he conveys so much character. His pieces are always so dynamic, and I truly value that with him. In a world where he also puts so much effort into the outfits and, like, the characters' designs. I don't even have an example of, obviously I adore his character designs. He's one of my favorite character designers. He's got such a strong grasp on shape and color that, like, it feels so grand that I couldn't even approach it. You know? So I couldn't even, but I go on and on about his character designs enough as it is. Oh, here, let me also move my giant head, so you can see that good blood. But yeah, he is excellent and stunning, and just his sketch work is gorgeous enough on its own. I would get rid of all of my blood to have him illustrate a character of mine. Take a sip of my Arizona tea, and let's move on to the next artist, which is Nakdi. Some of these I might pronounce incorrectly because I can't hear these names, and many of them are in a different language. Nakdi is Korean, I believe, and they're an excellent artist. They are especially fun because they've got a YouTube channel. You can find links to other locations through their Twitters that I am offering to you all. And yeah, Nakti's got speed paints that have English subtitles available as well. So it's excellent, because it means that, because, you know, that's kind of the bummer when it's like, you know, they're speaking in their native language and you don't know it, and it's like, oh, I wish I knew what they were saying about how they made their good art. So Nakti's got English subtitles, which is really excellent, and their stuff is a lot of fun. Here, I'll move my big head for a second again. Wow, isn't that pretty? They're very good at drawing very pretty characters and having very full illustrations with them. Nakti's another one that is excellent at doing more than just a character standing in a void. We're gonna see a lot of that. We're gonna see that. I really value pictures that feel like full scenes and not just a character standing, which is hilarious because that is what I draw the most. But yeah, Nakti, like, their sense of color is also really excellent, and it pisses me off how good they are with shading, which I should reword because I know that kind of vernacular doesn't translate very well. I am so jealous of how good they are at shading. They've got this realistic level of light without losing the style of their sort of like manhwa-esque anime designs. It's without it being like a cartoon face on a realistically rendered body, which I know we've all seen, and they don't struggle with that. Everything looks like it belongs together in their art, which is incredibly valuable for someone who is balancing realistic rendering and an anime aesthetic. Their character designs are also very, very good. This is one of my absolute favorites. I adore this piece by Nakti, and it's an older one too, but I really love it. You're getting so much personality. There's a story to be told in just one image alone, and it is another one that is sort of just a character standing, you know, he's sitting, but a character standing in a void, but to give it just enough of an environment and a mood, a lighting, to tell us everything we need to know without giving us the full comic I'd love to accompany this picture, you know? It's just so valuable. Also, we get more excellent shading. That fur texture is delicious. Oh my gosh. And I love the use of colors. The blue, everything has blue in it, which then makes these more saturated blues with his hair and the inside of his jacket pop out. By having everything be muted blue, it allows the brighter blues to stand in the front of the stage without being like an outlier. Do you understand? In a world where I would jump to using a complementary color in this sort of situation, Nakti instead just dives fully into a more monochrome look and still has the ability to emphasize different points of the picture, which is really excellent. That boy looks handsome as fuck. I know, Nakti's very good. You're gonna see a lot of very handsome boys today, so get excited. So yeah, and then also, Nakti really makes characters interacting look easy, and it's not. Characters interacting it is annoyingly difficult for me, and Nakti does it in a way that does make it feel so approachable. Nakti has a talent for having these sort of like soft, nearly casual interactions between characters that looks like, oh, I want to do that. And then I try, and you realize just how hard it is to render something like this. And it's so admirable. All conglomerated with the other things I mentioned, with the excellent lighting, the full scene. We've got a character here. I want to see the romance adventure that these two go on. You know? Not even to point out how fun these designs are. I'm not sure if these are Nacti's designs or if this is fan art, but they're rendered so well. Definitely looks cold, both in a badass way, and he probably feels exactly. We're getting so much without anything needing to be explained. Nothing hurts in its own special kind of way, like an artist needing to explain a picture. And I feel like Nacti never does. We're always getting the full story. And it's always rendered so beautifully. I love their use of light. There's always this strong light. The shadows are always very distinct without becoming like gloom and doom heavy. Which is so admirable, because I know I can get frightened of having too strong of lighting and casting too heavy of a mood on a page that I didn't want. I don't want things to look like, oh, Lex Luthor doing his bad guy monologue. And Nacti has these dynamic, interesting lights without everything ended up looking too serious, like how I worry I do. Next up, we've got a very exciting one. Oh my gosh, they're all exciting. Hang on, it's gonna take me a second to read this name because it's a long one. Mamikua, I will call them Mamikua, I guess. I was gonna abbreviate it to Mami, and then that felt weird. What kind of lighting or lighting scenario is your favorite? I don't think I have a favorite lighting scenario. I do tend to like backlighting. It's very dynamic. Mamikua, you are going to see very, very evidently how much Mamikua has inspired me for my Magical Girl Pokemon adventures. Mamikua especially. I feel like this is all they do, and I'm so okay. They could draw every single Pokemon, and I would, for the rest of time, and I would love it. They draw every Pokemon as like a cute little kid. And they're all so fucking good. They have such a cute art style. I can't even handle it. And what I really love the most about it, there's a lot of things. First is this adorable art style that looks painted, and it's not. They work digitally. But it feels like it's on paper, which is, it's got, what a tasty texture. But also, the fact that they will render the characters, like the Pokemon, without giving them animal features. And it still reads flawlessly. This Appleton is so cute, having it be like a little chef, and having the apron be like the crisscross pattern of Appleton's like little back. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. They're all so cute. They're all so good. I love them so much. This one is another real favorite of mine, Palmot. And as you can see, we've got this giant bow, which emulates the ears so effortlessly. But it's not big animal ears. There is no fuzzy tail, and they do this for all of them. And it looks so smart. It looks so excellent. I also really value people who are willing to do, like, I drew Palmot and I did just give them ears. But the fact that Mamikua doesn't do that, and they're so creative with their designs. I would have never have thought to make Palmot this like cute fighter type like design, and it makes so much sense because Palmot is literally part fighting. While it's still like any one of Mamikua's designs could easily be a magical girl, if you ask me. They're all so cute, and they're, it's just absolutely goals. I adore them. Meowstic, I think, is my favorite one that Mamikua has, because the hair is so perfect. It being the big cones on the top to be the ears, and then also it's long to be the tails, and it's got this cute design. It like, I have a whole meltdown every time Mamikua uploads because it's always so cute, and their clothes are always so diverse in a world where I do tend to fall on the same handful of silhouettes and like dress types pretty often. Like, Mamikua makes me sit here and think that I need to expand my fashion sense more, because they show me that there's so many more silhouettes and dress designs and everything that I could be working with. But they are what a humongous inspiration. I adore their art style. It's so cute, and more proof that while I have gone on about artists who are able to render a full scene, and I still do very much value that, I think Mamikua proves that you can also draw a character standing in a void and still make stunning, excellent art. I could own 1,000,000 prints of these designs, and it still wouldn't be enough, you know? You think Mamiki was with Meowstick's design made me think Meowstick is a Hatsune Miku design. This, you could change this to Miku easily. I know the hat for the, it's so smart. It's incredibly smart. So, I love Mamikua's designs. They're so good. Oh my gosh. And what a great art style. This look that they all have, that they all look painted. I truly am jealous. I'm like, what brushes do you use? What brushes do you use? But we should move on to, yes, Deep Sea Prisoner. One of you had mentioned Deep Sea Prisoner earlier. They do go by, I think it's Funamushi. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. It's why I do default to Deep Sea Prisoner, because, well, I know how to pronounce that one. Deep Sea Prisoner makes, well, they used to make games. I think they are still working on them. It's been a long time since they've finished anything. They do make VTuber models now, but again, it's been a while since they've finished anything. Deep Sea Prisoner seems to have a lot going on, but that's okay. And I think Deep Sea Prisoner, so, I think it could be easy for people to see Grim Magic and to assume that I was inspired by Madoka Magica's art style. And while I wanted it to be cute like Madoka, Deep Sea Prisoner and another artist who we'll get to soon are actually my inspiration. I realized I wanted my magical girls to feel like a Deep Sea Prisoner story. They have really excellent stories. They can tend to be a little too sad at points. Definitely edgy shit. But I do like the friendship vibes they've always got. And I do love their character designs. They've got hundreds of characters. You can go to their website. Sometimes it doesn't always load that well, especially on mobile, which is why I linked you to their Twitter, but you can find everything through their Twitter and through their website. It's very, very well done. I'm jealous of their website. It looks very professional, even if it doesn't load excellently all the time. But they've got hundreds of characters. This is one of their older designs, actually, but I really love the Wadanohara character designs. They're all like fish. So this is a vampire squid, and having her have this like cape to emulate the vampire squid's, you know, like sharp tentacles and the cape that it's got, like I think you can see how I take inspiration from Deep Sea Prisoner's designs, trying to emulate the silhouette of things the same way how she does. But she doesn't just do characters standing in void, she has illustrations as well. And another really excellent one, rendering light. Deep Sea Prisoner doesn't often, you know, like, when it's just a character standing in a void, she doesn't go out of her way to, you know, push the boundaries of light, because you don't need to. But I think you could see that Deep Sea Prisoner, you know, when she wants to, she can really create, like a gorgeous piece with even minimal lighting and minimal colors. She's always got this pretty strong, consistent, like, grasp on color. She did have a small stint where everything was black and white. And she had another one where everything was really, really colorful. She kind of comes in waves, where she'll have, like a kind of a thing she's clearly into for a while, and then she moves on to the next thing she gets really into. But I think they're all really fun, and the fact that she does end up having such a wide breadth of options it's just great, because you get to see how she's grown and developed in her adventures. She also makes comics. This is a Japanese page from the one she's working on, I think, currently. Obsolete. Dream, I believe is what it was called. They're really professionally well done. Honestly, this is a poor page that I could have chosen just because I wanted something with panels, with a good number of panels. She does tend to have a lot of big panels, with a lot of dialogue. She's got a lot of like funny slapstick that she likes to lean on. But I wanted to also let you see how she engages with comedy by pulling these funny expressions, and she consistently has this nice level of texture in the background that doesn't like distract from the illustrations in the forefront. She's another one that she'll stream on Twitch, and she's also got a YouTube channel, I believe as well, so you can watch her work, and she's incredibly meticulous, incredibly methodical. You see these swirly horns, and, you know, if it were up to me, those would be wobbly every day of the week. But she's very meticulous in having them be consistent, which is why she ends up taking so long to do anything. But, yeah, Deep Sea Prisoner is a huge inspiration for me. If you ever want to engage with her, video games, she's got some RPG Maker games, you could always download them, or if you're strapped for cash, I don't know if they cost anything. Mainly Badass Hero has done a playthrough for all of them, so if you have hours to kill, or you want something fun in the background, he skips through, like, grinding, so you just get the fun, good story. So, yeah, I love her. But, she's not the only one who inspired me. Edward Gorey. So Edward Gorey does not have a Twitter because, he's an, I think he may have passed away. I'm not 100% sure, I'll admit it. But he is an Austrian or German artist of, from quite a while ago. I'll admit I didn't do research that perhaps I should have, but there's a link to his Wikipedia article. And Edward Gorey, I'll move my giant head for a second so you can look at this. Edward Gorey's art is so unique, so good. I love it. He makes these funny little poems, and they are accompanied by these, they look like prints, like block prints, but I think he does everything with pen, and he's always got these this excellent hatching, these very dark blacks, and then contrasted with the whites. It's always in this grayscale, and how do you even explain Edward Gorey? He's just got such an excellent grasp on this medium that you don't lose anything. This is a lot of hatching to have on screen, for everything to still be this clear. That's the thing. If I were in charge of this picture, it would end up becoming muddy and messy and noisy, and it doesn't with him. He has such an excellent way of knowing how to render his shadows without losing any of the detail. That's him. That's a self-portrait of him. I have a question. Is your comic a solo venture, or do you sometimes have help? No, it's just me. I do everything. It does say he died in 2000. Unfortunate, but I adore Edward. He's another one I've got an art book of. And it's really fun. It was quite pricey as well. But it makes sense, because, you know, there's a lot of ink on paper. And it's a hardcover, so it's great. But yeah, just another example of how he didn't need to put himself in a little nook like that. He only made his life harder by putting himself into a nook for his self-portrait. By all accounts, he was also a swell guy. He was nice. He went to a cafe, fucking pet cats and stuff. Everyone seemed to like him. He was, so... Edward was just a cool guy. The fact that we also don't lose that texture in the wall, despite all the shading on it and the hatching, I can't grasp how he was so good at all this. But he really did it. And the big thing that truly was my inspiration is the Gashly Crumb-Teenies. The Gashly Crumb-Teenies is a poem about children dying. A is for Amy, who fell down the stairs. B is for Benjamin, who got eaten by bears. It goes down the alphabet, and all the kids die in different ways. And I had drawn an Unis Honest rendition of the Gashly Chrome Teenies. Do you remember Unis Honest? Of course you do. You all remember Unis Honest. I drew a little Gashly Chrome Teenies-esque poem of Mark and Ethan, going through their adventures, and I tried to emulate his art style to a wandering degree of success. But that was my other big inspiration for how I wanted Grim Magic to look. Was going through the Gashly Chrome Teenies and being like, I want to capture this innocence that Edward Gorey had done with his kids. Did I succeed? I'd like to think so, but that's not up to me to decide. Reminds me of Neverending Nightmares. Yeah. He has been Allison's right that he has been credited for the inspiration of a lot of indie games. There's one I remember I don't remember the game, but there is one that Mark played, I remember, where it's like a guy trying to escape an asylum. All I remember is him, like, opening up his forearm, and it was like, eh! But yeah, he's got an excellent art style, and I'm not surprised that people are inspired by him, because, I mean, so am I. But yeah, I adore Edward. But let's move back on over to the world of Twitter with Babesio. I am absolutely gonna call them BBSO, because that's how I always read it. There is Babesio's Twitter. What a slick cover. I've been thinking about changing my what's it called? Like cover picture, the thing above your profile picture on Twitter. I've been thinking about changing that up. But anyway, let's move on to actually talking about Babesio's art. Let me get a drink of water first. Banner. I knew I could count on you guys. Babesio, I like something about their art very specifically is how it feels like watercolors. And not like how it doesn't look like it was painted literally with watercolors, but it evokes the similar sort of feeling as watercolors, where they tend to wander in these very pale color palettes, where there's a lot of light, it feels like, entering the screen, without it ending up looking pastel-y, or without worry about it not giving an impact. Like, there's still plenty of impact in their colors, but we're just not very saturated with them. And there's something I feel like really valuable about that, because it makes their art feel quite light. Like, it's easy to look at their art over and over because it's easy on the eyes, because of their excellent grasp on using light to its fullest potential, I feel. Here's another one. I'll move my giant head. Ooh, wow. Cool mermaids. I think they're mermaids. We've got Babesio's got, like, a style that is pretty consistent, but I'm gonna say it sometimes wanders into a nearly Studio Ghibli-esque vibe, where we've got this level of fantasy, but it's not dark fantasy necessarily. It's like, it's got whimsy to it. Even something just as simple as, a couple of mer people, I'm assuming, doing a subtle interaction. There feels like there's so much more to this story that, that could easily be fully rendered and played out. And it feels so unique as well. I've been saying mermaids, maybe they're not underwater. It doesn't matter. These designs clearly intrigued me enough to want to put them into put it into my PowerPoint, because there's so much going on. This is such a unique fantasy design for something, where she's like part flower, part fish. Why are we underwater? I want to know more. And again, we get this good example of excellent lighting. Even with the person closer to us, so much more cast in shadow, it still doesn't feel heavy. It still feels very light. It's easy to engage. Also, the background, with that clear level of depth with it being lighter way back there and the closer things having shadows. That's something I struggle with. I'll put backgrounds will end up, if they're not a fucking blank color, then it ends up being kind of like dark is way over there, but light is way over here, but it's not all lighter, and it's, yeah, I'm not good at backgrounds, and so obviously I respect someone who can even do a simple background quite well like this. But even when we do wander into more sort of, I'm gonna describe it as dark aesthetics. I'll move my big head again. Even with a darker sort of aesthetic or vibe scenario, we still have these really nice, easy to engage with levels of shadow and saturation. And also, what a fascinating scene happening here. Is this for something? I wish it was, because I want to know more about this fascinating collection of characters. Who are all these demons or vampires, and why do they all look so fucking cool? We've got so many different types of designs all on one page, and they're just, I want to know more. And again, we've got a very subtle background that like is conveying an environment, and it's just some shapes back there. I am envious of this. Also the fact that this one with the hat, that he's clearly in the background because like he's got, you know, less light on him. We've got another really excellent use of like foreshortening, like how we said, like how we talked about with Shiro, in a way that clearly emphasizes the important parts without losing the unimportant parts completely. You see what I'm saying? And I was also getting My Chemical Romance vibes, and I'm not mad about that. So, yeah, this a stunning artist, even if with a name that I struggle to read correctly, because I always want to read it as BB-So. But yeah, I adore how easy it is to look at their art. I feel like I tend to wander into pretty saturated but gray. That's how I would describe my color palettes. Like, they're not bright, but they are pretty saturated. And I do think there's value in staying a little further away from, you know, the fully colored versions of colors, you know? Next up, this is one I've been following since, like, it feels like the dawn of time. Same Ikusa is, I believe, how you pronounce their name. Again, I'm sorry if I've gotten it wrong. I am stinky and bad at pronouncing some names. Ikusa is, what an excellent artist. You can see right there from their banner that they've got a good grasp on lighting as well. But something I really like about Ikusa's art is how they fill the page. They are always fully using the whole canvas, very much aware of the space their characters are taking up. I know that I definitely do this pretty often, and many others do as well, where if we're gonna draw a character like her, you know, we draw them out, and then, you know, the canvas, you know, ends kind of just around them. They just float in a square void because canvases have to be square. The fact that Ikusa isn't afraid to cut off edges of a character to have her truly fill the whole page. And it's not just this one. You know, he's clearly got a grasp on using all the space available. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't cut this to cut off parts of her, that he just started drawing and knew exactly that it's like, and then, you know, that part will go off the screen a little bit, this part will go off the screen a little bit, and went in intentionally trying to make sure he filled the whole space. And again, we're getting an excellent use of foreshortening here, where her shoes are clearly closer. They are the important part, but without losing her cute face up there as well. But even when he's just doing faces, he knows how to fill a page excitingly. And what expression! We saw it, this one in the center is the one he uses as his profile picture, but everyone is clearly emoting. Even the more, I'm going to describe them, the more subdued characters on here, like, still are giving us so much personality. I really respect artists who aren't afraid to really let their characters open their mouths and open their eyes fully. Because I know a lot of us, and I know I worry about this too as well, especially, if you were drawing handsome characters or pretty characters, you don't want to distort their face shape. And I value artists who aren't afraid to allow an expression to squash and stretch. I think this guy up here, I think they're from Bleach. I don't know, I don't do Bleach. They're a great example of really stretching things out to emphasize the expression. Same with him. You don't even need a big tongue sticking out. A big smile squinting up his eyes. We're getting a lot. Even the, and like I said, even the less expressive ones. It doesn't need to just be a calm smile. This one over here is pulling one lip up a little bit more to give us just a little bit more personality. A little bit more character. This is a lot of different smiles, all conveying significantly different characters. The fact that none of these boys smile the same tells me that they're all different personalities, different people, and there's a real value to that, because I know I tend to pull the same expressions, and he makes me want to practice expressions being pushed further in more directions without them being fully comedic. I'm sure this guy is hilarious, but it's not just a big smile for the sake of being funny. You know what I'm saying? Because I know it's easier to be like, yeah, we'll really stretch the boundaries when the joke is that it's an extreme face. I want to be able to do expressions like this without it being a gag. You know what I'm saying? Oh, just scooted the picture over a little bit instead of moved to the next panel. I'll move my big dumb head for a second as well. Oh, wow. Coolio. He's another one that does some very cool character art. And something I really like about him is he's clearly not afraid to actually have people of color on screen. And we'll see that as a reoccurring element with artists I like, is that it's like, it's not just a bunch of just white characters. Obviously, I like a lot of anime art, and so I do end up encountering a lot of artists who I still do appreciate, but they do tend to wander in a safe, fair skin, exclusive world. And there's nothing wrong with just drawing what you want. You can't go up to someone who likes to draw cats and say, well, just start drawing more dogs. Maybe they don't want to, but I do like it when people have variety with their skin tones. And as you can see, they obviously have variety. And it's not just that thing I talked about a couple of streams ago of artists with POC characters and their skin tone is basically just gray. Like, we've actually got real skin tones here, which is nice. Which also isn't even to comment on how dynamic this page is, for it being a spread of character designs. Like, we're getting a lot of personality with all the different characters. He's not afraid to hide parts of characters behind others. I am noticing there's an awful lot of thigh on this man right here. I wish we were seeing a little bit more of him. But, yeah, this is a really cool cast of characters. I want to see what it is they're from. I want to play the game they're in, read the story that they're in, whatever it is. Because he's rendered them in such a fun way. I want to engage with all these distinct, interesting personalities that he's clearly rendered. So yeah, a really excellent artist. Like I said, been following him since the dawn of time. Loving the girl on the far right. I like her a lot too. What a cool silhouette she's got. I'm really into the whole giant jacket over top of like a very sleek or minimal like outfit otherwise. Yeah, she's good. I like her. These are all really solid designs, honestly. Oh my gosh, that is a braid. I didn't even realize. So yeah, cool stuff. Cool stuff. Nachos! Speaking of people who aren't afraid to draw POC characters, Nachos is a woman of color. And she is really excellent because she's truly on the forefront of actually drawing characters with different textures of hair. She's a very, like, loud and consistent proponent of actually drawing POC characters with hair textures like how POC have. And you can, so much of her art is so cute. And I love seeing how she renders hair like this. Because I know I struggle to do it. I've got a kind of simplistic way of rendering all hair, regardless of texture. And the fact that it feels like every single strand has been rendered, and it doesn't look like this was taxing for her. She makes this look effortless. And that's not even to say that she's also got such a cute art style. Every picture she has feels so happy. Even ones that aren't girls smiling, which was one of her favorite, things to illustrate. Like, even more serious, pictures from her they've just got, like, a spark in them. The way how she approaches light and color gives everything such a joyful feeling. It's impossible to feel sad looking at Nachos' art. She's got this way of especially rendering smiles that make them feel so genuine, so actually happy. Daisy really looks like she has been tickled by whatever just happened. She's having a great time. And that's really admirable in a world where it's easy to draw a bad or a fake smile. And it can be difficult to make a smile look really genuine, and she does it so consistently, where everyone just seems to be having a great time in her world. Like I said, even when they're not outright smiling, she's got a happy sort of aesthetic that, obviously I also really like more serious stories, but you have to appreciate artists who are just here to make people smile, who want to draw pretty things and make the world feel a little bit better. By the way, this character design was so fun. Having the gray hair and the purple and blue elements contrast so well against all the yellow. It's so good. Having the flat background color, like, makes her come forward so well. I tend to put a gradient in my backgrounds because I'm like, oh, it's gonna be too boring otherwise. But, like, this shows me that if you know what you're doing, you can have just a flat color and it can still really come at you and pop. Nachos' art is so good. It's so easy to engage with because it's just good vibes. Good, happy vibes. And we've actually got a person of color making people of color in their art, which obviously is valuable. She's got a really excellent, like, I showed you Daisy, but she's got a lot of Mario Princess art as well. She's got some very cool prints that I thought about getting, but I wanted to stick with her newer stuff. But I thought about putting into this PowerPoint where it's the princesses wearing Converse, and there's something about that concept that it fucking unlocks all the dopamine. You know what I'm saying? Didn't even notice that was Daisy. Yeah, hi, I'm Daisy. But yeah, I love Nachos' art. It's so happy. It's so easy to just look at it forever. It's the kind of thing where it's like, you should have a Nachos picture, like, on your phone screen, so then every time you check your phone, it's like, hey, it's not too bad. Okay. Kimihiko Fujisaka is another one I couldn't find a single website for. Fujisaka doesn't seem to have a Twitter. Fujisaka doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. Seemingly, the best I could find was, like, from a wiki, which didn't feel legit enough to put as my link. So, unfortunately, there's just no link available that I could find for Fujisaka. If any of you know otherwise, and don't be afraid to put it into chat, and I will add it to the link list. But to actually show you his art, Fujisaka is a character designer, and you might know him better as the one who designed everyone from Drakengard and a lot of Nier, not Nier Automata specifically, but like the rest of Nier is mostly Fujisaka. I love his character designs. Fujisaka is one of the character designers, he's right up there with like Shiro, where I love analyzing his designs to break down why they're so good. He has such an excellent way of approaching silhouette and color that and shape that, like, look at, okay, I need to finish a sentence. The fact that this girl on the left with the jacket, a brown jacket with weird, like, straps across it could very easily look stupid. But the fact that, let me move my big head. The fact that that shape of these straps gets echoed in the shape of her, not only her belt straps as well, but then these swords makes it clear that that was done for a reason. She's got a consistent, like, line of motion in her design, which isn't even saying anything about the unique designs of these kids. I think this is for a game, but the fact that the Bat Boy and Bat Girl, I assume, like, the use of color to have this, you see a lot of white hair with Fujisaka's designs, and they're so good. I love this sort of a thing. He loves these giant accessories. These are big ass belt buckles, and he makes them look effortless. He makes them look like they truly belong. In a world where something that wide could easily end up looking goofy, he has such a good grasp on the silhouette of a character that you don't even realize, wow, those boots are humongous, because it's to service the overall design. He would honestly be excellent at designing a character or characters for a fighting game. I think he would be like a Street Fighter kind of fighting game. I think he'd be excellent. But that is like, he's not just good at character design. Obviously, he can do fully rendered pieces as well. Another really stunning show of composition, having the protagonists in the front and the dragons in the back, framing them. And I think this was for a Drakengard anniversary specifically. And we get to see his, like, full range in this picture, which is really fun. All of his different phases as he slowly figured out, hey, I really like characters with white hair. But the texturing as well, it's got such just like a storybook feel to it all that is so admirable and so respectable. And his designs are just so good. Look at how well this is rendered as well. There's a clear level of, like, texture. I know exactly what, like, her dress is obviously like a silk versus her gloves, which are like that, those are metal. Like, without it looking too extreme, like, everything feels so consistently rendered while also so clearly displaying a different levels of texture and material in the art. And again, that is to say, his designs are genuinely a step above the rest. I look at how he renders designs explicitly, like, I study his art because I think it's so good, and I want to learn how to approach character design as smartly as he does. He is playing 4D chess when it comes to design in a world where we're all playing checkers. And I think to emphasize this, the fact that she's got this clear black trim on her shoulders, and then that same shape is echoed with her skirt and then her leggings underneath. The fact that her gloves and her shoes are the same shape. She's got a very, like, she's balanced. And she's obviously meant to be balanced with the wheel behind her. Like, she is one. That's her character. She is number one. She is the leader. And she has a sense, like, she's in complete control. Her hair is perfectly in control, perfectly styled. No one thing is she's not asymmetrical in any way, because that is the point. That she's the leader, and you get all of that, and it's, oh, I can't just keep saying it's so good. So yeah, his level of rendering is one thing, his level of character design is a whole nother thing, and he's good at making cool lineups as well. Everyone looks good standing next to each other, let alone just alone like this. So it's a shame that I can't find like a Twitter for him or something, because it makes it a lot harder to look at his art. Haybon, why didn't I get a picture for Haybon's Twitter? What's wrong with me? That's embarrassing. I like Haybon a lot. There they are. We'll move right on to the next image though. Oh my gosh. Talking about this light, this level of light. Haybon's another one that has this sort of painterly aesthetic to their art that I really like. But in contrast to like Besabo that we talked about earlier, Haybon is not afraid to go quite deep with their saturation, quite deep with their shadows. That gives everything this sort of, it's like glass. It's like stained glass in a way, how their art wanders across both light and shadow. There's always these like strong shapes. If you blur your eyes, you can clearly see like the shapes that are coming in as they shadowed everything, as they rendered everything. But it never feels disjointed. Also, yeah, look at that good horse. I had to pick this picture because goddamn, even just that little bit of a horse, horses are hard. And it's a very well rendered horse. But obviously the whole picture, zero background. Not a single lick of background. There is not the implication of a sky, but it doesn't feel like it, because the rest of the image is so fully rendered, fully realized. There's a level of weight and movement that is obvious in how everything has been illustrated, in a way that you don't even realize that there is no world behind her, that she exists in a void because she feels like she is in a world. Oh, no, obviously it's just very sunny back there. Kind of a feeling, you know? They've got another one that is very good at, it feels like, filling the page without it being a full page. Kind of to emphasize, you want to cut your you want to cut your art into thirds. That's how our eyes naturally want to read things, and you can see how they fill the page while still following that nice rule of thirds in a way that that gives it such a level of dynamism. It makes it easy for your eye to continually trace the art, to end up stuck in a permanent loop looking at their art over and over and over again. Haybon's another one that I've been following since the dawn of time. Like, forever. They were one of the first people I started following on Twitter, I feel like. And what a great grasp of no poop zone. What a good grasp on color as well. Having these reds, this maroony red, pop so deliciously against the green world around him, and how his suit has been rendered with that same green light to not just emphasize random parts of his design, but to emphasize all the parts that lead you around the art. It's not just, oh, make the head bright. It's, no, we've got this smart triangular formation that is clearly emphasized, that adds to that excellent composition, let alone their smart lighting. Why is the poop zone cast in a spotlight? Because it looks good. But I gotta say, while Haybon is excellent at rendering this color, what I really love is their sketches. Oh my gosh, my heart. I've got like a heart boner. It's so good. Their sketches have this loose fluidity to them, this life to them, that I always love when they upload a sketch. I always do. Because they're so, like, while their fully rendered pictures are also really gorgeous, their sketches have this sort of effortless life to them. This such an easy to read, gorgeously rendered. There's just enough shadows to give you dimension, and it's so easy to look at. And it's that thing, it's like, it hurts so bad to say this sometimes, that some people's art just hits better when it's not finished. And that's obviously, Habon's art is gorgeous even when it's fully rendered, fully finished. But the fact that their sketches are so gorgeous, so much character and personality, that sometimes, because they'll post work in progresses and then finished pieces, sometimes this gorgeous level of personality, light, character that we can see in their loose, free-handed sketches sometimes doesn't always translate into the final product. And that's rough, because I don't want to say that. I don't want to put down how much work obviously goes into making something like this, or like this, which are both stunning in their own right, but there's just something about their sketches that I truly, truly love. I would adore to have their sketches all over my walls. Wake up, and it's like an insane asylum. Nothing but Habon sketches all across my walls. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess, it's nice that they have this variety that they can offer themselves. Where it's like, cool, I can make gorgeous, fully rendered things, but also I can make a little sketch and probably make gangbusters too. So, gorgeous art. Gorgeous, gorgeous. I adore Habon's art so much. Next up, it's my latest art inspo. Okay, hang on. They've got a long name. Umiko-chan art. I'll be calling them Umiko. She is my current, like, newest art inspo, like I just said, and I'm jealous. I'm jealous of her because you can see in her bio here, she's only 23, and it's like, fuck. She makes me want to study faces more. If you're on my Discord, you saw that I had posted talking about how I wish that I could get better at rendering faces. And she is why. She has this really excellent way of rendering these realistic, like, scenarios and faces specifically, but she's also very, very good at rendering skin to look realistic as well, which I can't even grasp. I can't even figure out how she does that, but she's got this excellent level of texture and realism without losing, like, a stylized life into her art. Kind of similar to how we talked with with Nakdi earlier. I will say her art is spicy, so be aware if you check out her profile picture. None of it is explicit unless you go to her Patreon, but just be aware you're signing up for some spice if you check her out. Also, another excellent horse. This one is Venom. What a good picture. That's so well rendered too. She's so good at rendering this light. Everything has a clear texture. His jacket is obviously would feel different from his skin, which feels different from this horrible Venom skin. And she makes me so jealous. I love her art though. I've had her art as my like lock screen on my computer for a while now. And I finally changed my desktop. My desktop has been Kaiji for years, I think, at this point. At least 1 year. I finally changed my desktop to more of her art. That's how much I like her art. I can't show you that one though, because it's a little too spicy. But yeah, it's specifically how well she renders different faces and this clear grasp on skin that I'm so jealous of. She's so good at expressions that look realistic and good, and I have like a full meltdown every time I try to think about her art, because it's just so well done. And something I really like about it is she's got this really nice line art still. You can see around all these different pictures, which she loves doing these collages, which are good. I love these because you get just like fun, so many little splashes of a character. These all could have been individual pictures, but sticking them all together, it's like, it's so much more fun this way. It's like a little treat, a whole little treat for the eyes. But she's got this clear line art, which gives her art a sort of like Art Nouveau sort of feel to it, which had this, that was when prints were really becoming a big thing, and you'll see in Art Nouveau styles a lot this like really nice, clear, thick outline around realistically rendered characters. It's similar to how she's got, and we'll see another artist in the future that has a similar thing going on as well. It's just really nice. It has the characters stand out really well without them, like, they still look like they belong in the scene that she puts them in. This is Harvey, by the way, from Stardew Valley. I did not marry Harvey, but Harvey gets all the good fan art, I've gotta be honest. Fan art of Harvey has me rethinking things. So yeah, she's my new current fave. I love her stuff. I absolutely adore it, and she really spoils us on Twitter. While the explicit stuff may only be available on Patreon, she gives us plenty to feed on Twitter as well, if you're a little horn dog like me. But let's move on to someone a little less spicy. I only want to read this name as Unga Bunga. And it's not that. Ugonba. We're gonna roll with Ugonba. They're what a fun artist. They're really great. They have this really awesome sense of light as well. Ugomba has this very consistent way of lighting their art that I am in awe of. There's always this nice level of bloom. It feels so bright, you know? Like like there's so much light coming at you without it being like, I can't see. But moreover, it's like, it's just such a consistent style that makes it immediately like, oh, yeah, that's Ugomba. You can immediately recognize how they approach light, and the fact that, again, they aren't afraid of these shadows, that makes their art really pop out. Characters, like, they don't really look like they exist in this world. This is 3 characters floating in a void with a background put behind them, but the lighting all being so consistent helps hide that. It's only if you're being a little weirdo peeking at their toes like me just now, and like that really betrays that, because otherwise the lighting is so consistent and clean across their art. It's gorgeous. I first heard of them or found them because of Project Sekai. This is for all the characters, all like goddamn like 35 of them. Ugomba has done this year's anniversary art for all of them. And the lighting was especially, like, these designs, the dresses are all very cute. The suits are cute. They all look great, but I was so taken with the light. And the fact that it's so, like, it feels so bright without having that normal kind of shine across hair. You know exactly what I'm talking about. I put it in all my pictures. So many artists will have a line of, like, shine. And there is none of that. And I think that's what adds to their nice, clean, bright sense of light, is that there's so much light without any one part of it feeling overexposed. It has me sitting here thinking, like, maybe I shouldn't have any shine on anything. Because Ugomba does so well with this flat lighting, for lack of any better way to describe it. Which isn't to say it looks flat. There's clearly dimension. It's so good. You can see it so clearly on Honami. That's the trick of having a large-breasted character, is that you have to add shadows to them. And you can see it so well, how well Ugonba approaches shading and texturing in a way that has it look so clean. It's so easy on the eyes, in a way that, like, I would have absolutely struggled to shade in Honami there. Cause titties are hard to shade. But obviously, they're so good at all different types of lighting. From the front, from the back. Like, it's a consistent way of approaching light without it always being the same angle of light. You know? Like, I know a lot of artists, and me especially, you know, we all can tend to be like, and then I've got my one normal type of lighting that I render everyone in. And Ugonba is clearly not afraid to move the light source around the characters. Which, it's just, without losing, the way they do light is so consistent. It makes me sit here and want to be able to, like, break down how they do it. But I feel like I truly could just, like, I could only learn by actually watching them do their art. Unfortunately, I don't think they do, like, speed paints or anything, so not in the cards, but I'd love to be able to see them actually, like, work on art. I would love to see their process. I think it'd be so educational and informative. Hang on. Gorgeous, gorgeous. Here he comes, it's Norman Rockwell. Norman is another one who does not have a Twitter, because I'm pretty sure he is dead. Because he was an artist quite a while ago. In like the 60s or so. You've all seen Rockwell's art. If anything, you know him from the one meme of the man standing up in church. I actually liked, My Little Pony or whatever, that meme. That's Rockwell's art. Rockwell's self-portrait is also very popular. You've absolutely seen his work before. And people have gone on and on and on about why Rockwell's art is so good, since he was still active. So, there's nothing really new I can add to the conversation, but it is worth mentioning that he's so good at capturing what feels like real life. This is just a real scene. He's not afraid of having realistic looking characters doing just these fun little scenarios. We have so much story going on here as well, that the plumbers are clearly here to fix something, but that they were taken with the owner of the house's little vanity and having a funny little time. The fact that her carpet is so furry. Rockwell also clearly loved dogs. There's almost always a dog in a painting. The fact that the whole scene is fully painted as well. Rockwell is the other one that I was alluding to having an Art Nouveau style. Some of his pieces, especially his earlier works, drew on that aesthetic a lot more. You can see it the most here, I think, of my examples. But truly, the thing that is so admirable with Rockwell, not only is he great at just rendering, another one, a real master of texture, lighting, dimension. His characters feel 3D. They feel real without them being too overly done up, too overly realistic, is how well he truly captured the human spirit. He captured real moments in life. It makes it so that every time I see Rockwell's art come through in the back rooms, I always find myself stopping and just admiring it. I can't stop myself. I have to stop working so I could take a look at his pictures, because it just feels like true snapshots of real life that no one else, I feel like, ever really captures as well as he does. He's able to put so much real character. We're all, oh, it's a bot. Ignore the bot. We're all willing to draw pretty characters being cool and awesome. And while obviously I still really value cool, awesome anime characters running around fighting things, Thank you, you're swell. It's the fact that it's not glamorous elements that Rockwell so often painted. It's just small, real moments in life. Not featuring supermodels, just real feeling people in these small little interactions that is just so admirable. Which, of course, is not even mentioning his technical abilities. His ability as an artist is undeniable, but I think the thing I value so much is what he chooses to paint, or chose to paint. So yeah, I adore Rockwell. I couldn't not bring him up. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing there. But let's move on to a slightly more active artist. It's Tsubasa Yamaguchi, who you all would most likely know best as the mangaka for Blue Period. I really like Blue Period, and I really like Tsubasa's, like, art for it. It's not just a well-done story. Tsubasa has this really fun art style that feels so simple, yet complex at the same time. Like, it feels so easily rendered, but then you see how much detail she puts into hair and differences in body shapes and expressions. The way she does expressions are especially, I love how she does faces, which is very valuable in a story like Blue Period, which it's not an action manga, it's a manga about artists. Just a manga about people drawing. And so the drama comes from how they interact with each other and their art. And so being able to render faces well is kind of the whole point, because it's the important thing. The big point of Blue Period isn't, and then someone did a big punch. It's, you know, someone felt something, and they talked about it. And so being able to capture these good expressions is really valuable for her. But that is to say, she's able to approach things in a more fantastical way as well, as evidenced by this pictures that she's got, which is in and of itself telling its own fancy story. This design is also so cool. We're getting so much with it that it makes me excited at the idea of her, like, she finishes Blue Period, great, and then she moves on to, like, some sci-fi fantasy thing. I'm sure whatever she does next, it'll be excellent, but I really do I really do love Blue Period and how much she's putting into it. And you can tell the use of line arts, grayscales, tones, it's all very deliberately done in a way that has to be when you make a story about art. A comic about making comics and such. So yeah, she is something special. And the way how she does, honestly, there are other expressions I would have liked more, but I couldn't find them quickly on Twitter. She's not afraid to have her characters scream and cry, and, like, their faces will crunkle up when they get upset, in a way that they're still aesthetically pleasing, but in a way that really lets you show off all that emotion. She's not afraid to push the boundaries on her characters clearly emoting, kind of similar to how we talked, a million years ago with Same's art, and when we talked about how he did all those smiles. She's not afraid to really have characters, put all their emotions across their sleeves, as it were, and I think that's really excellent. I adore her art. Why don't I have it's because it's Akira Himekawa. Himekawa does not have a Twitter that I'm aware of. Akira Himekawa is also technically two people doing art together. And you know them best as the mangakas who make the Legend of Zelda manga. They've also worked on, like, so many other things. You go to their Wikipedia and you'll be blown away at everything they've been working on. They've been in this industry since the earth was coolin', it seems. And I think it's evidenced by how well their art looked even at the very beginning. with the Ocarina of Time manga that you can see on page here. And something I love about their work is how they approach pages. Every page is full like this. It feels like we never have a page where there isn't something outside of the borders of the panels. And it always reads so clearly. It always reads so effortlessly, where you read through their comics so fast, because there's never a moment where you're like, wait, what's the next page? What's the next panel? Oh, wait, I and it feels like something should be a given. But the fact that they do also always have these characters floating on top of the panels could mean that, in the wrong hands, that could be a distraction. It could be a roadblock for your eyes. And instead, it just emphasizes whatever moment they choose to put outside the boundaries of a panel, and while still clearly reading all the actions, all the emotions, everything perfectly. And something about their art, they are very good at adapting their styles to fit the different Zelda games. I mean, like I said, they've been doing this since the Earth was cooling. Zelda's not the only thing they've worked on. They've worked on so many different projects. And the fact that they can be total chameleons with their art styles. And they can have this, realistic, more realistically rendered kind of Ganon and Link looking like a classic 90s protagonist. And then for Four Swords here, which I love how they did Four Swords, they've got this cute, soft, sort of chibi art style where even Dad down over here, is, still kind of... He's not rendered the same way Ganondorf was rendered over here. They're absolute chameleons when it comes to their art, in a way that makes it feel so fresh and effortless. But truly, oh my gosh, they're currently still working on the Twilight Princess manga. It has been their longest running manga, I'm quite sure. Every other Zelda, it's certainly the longest running Zelda manga, which have at most been 2 volumes long. Twilight Princess, I'm pretty sure, is in the 20s. And it's an example of what happens when you just let a master cook. Every panel looks like this. Look at how gorgeously this is rendered. All this light, all this soft lighting, all the detailing in Midna's headpiece, the detailing in Link's belts, the way how they've done Link's expression in every single panel. I'm endlessly inspired by how they render Link's face consistently in this manga. It's stunning every single time. I envy this. I wish they make, you can see down here in this corner over here, they draw the chainmail under his tunic every time. Chainmail! Every time! They draw these designs on Midna every time! And yeah, they're cheating. Politely. Because there's 2 of them. But it's so good. I wish I could draw like this. And for a comic, this isn't just one special panel. Every panel looks like this. They all look gorgeously rendered like this. And it makes me sit there and think, I wish I could be that good. And also makes me sit there and think, I'll never be this good. What's the point? It's so fucking... Yeah, they're still going with Twilight Princess, or they're, but about to finish it, or they finished it. I know we're nearing the end game if we haven't already, but yeah, fucking... Oh, Akira Himekawa. I liked their art even back, in Ocarina World. But now that they're at this, I'm endlessly inspired. Oh man, I am. I hope they make good fucking money, because they deserve it. Let's continue moving with our little, because we're in a bit of a mangaka groove here, with Tatsuki Fujimoto. He does Chainsaw Man. I've talked about him previously as well. Y'all know how much I like Chainsaw Man. I feel like you're gonna pull a Space Jam and steal their talents through high-tech alien paintbrush. There's a part of me that's like, if I could, I would, but then there's another part of me that's like, no! It's not worth it if I didn't work for it. Fujimoto, oh my gosh. I worry about him because I feel like he's working himself too hard. But I respect his tenacity. And I chose this picture to be the first one to open up the Fujimoto section because I like how he renders emotion in his panels, in his art, and not just through expression. She is clearly expressing up there. But this is a complex scene. In this story, which is a one-shot he did, this character, is like kind of the class artist, and she doesn't really try too hard. And then another girl shows up and also like starts having her art like in the comic section in the school newspaper, just like her. And our protagonist here gets very jealous because the other girl is better. And she gets very invested in doing, like actually trying with her art. And she sees this other character as her rival. And she is tasked, due to the plot, to bringing the other character something. And so she goes to her house, because she doesn't come to school. She's always at home. She, like, does school, like, at a distance for whatever reason. And yeah, and she's like, oh, it's my rival. I hate this girl being better. She's cheating because she's home all day. I have to do homework. And the other girl is like, oh my gosh, it's you. I'm a huge fan. I started working on art because I saw your stuff in the school newspaper and I was really inspired. And this is her walk home, where she is clearly excited about having a fan and conflicted at how poorly she had thought of the other girl up until now. There's a lot going on, and like it's the sort of complex scene and emotion that I feel like needs explaining, because unlike previous scenes that we've seen earlier where it was like there's so much emotion that you can clearly tell, I wish there was more, like we got the whole story to accompany this picture. Fujimoto actually gives us the whole story, and that does mean he gets the opportunity to explore these more complex emotions. By the way, look at how good this grass looks. God damn, look at that good grass. Wow. Also the rain is hard to do and have it look good. Looks like it ended last year and we'll be getting a complete box set this month. Oh wow, hooray. But yeah, Chainsaw Man is a huge inspiration for me. I love how Fujimoto approaches colors on his manga covers, at least for Chainsaw Man. There are all these really gorgeous pop art sort of ways of doing it, where it's like, hey, what if I make the blood green? It clearly stands out in a way where it could have just looked banal. Like banal gore. This makes it really feel different. It gives it a unique vibe in a way that can only truly be done from someone who is who has passion more so than from a technical standpoint. Because if you think technically, why make it green and not well, there's no good answer because Fujimoto did what he wanted to do. He is clearly an excellent artist and is no like rookie, but he has mentioned before that he wishes he had done a figure taking class when he was in college. He feels like he's behind, that he doesn't know everything and he wishes he knew more. And brother, I'm right there with you, but I gotta say I feel like he's worrying about nothing, because I think he's really good at rendering art in a way that gives us so much emotion and character, and it still looks gorgeous, even if he feels like his forms aren't good enough. I think he has a better grasp on anatomy than plenty others in his field. You know what I'm saying? I have a question. Have you heard of this amazing artist? They're really small, and I think you may like their art, and it's Allison. Fun fact, I did consider having Allison in my presentation today. I think Allison is very good at rendering horror. Very few horror artists actually frighten me. Allison has made pictures that scare me, that like I struggle to look at because they actually scare me. She has a good way of grasping shadows and value in a way that many are squeamish to do. Allison is the kind of person who isn't afraid to slather the page in mostly black and then have just a little bit of something peek out. However, I talk about how much I like Allison's art all the time, so I felt like it would be redundant to put her in. You know what I'm saying? Don't put me next to all these legends. No, you deserve it. You would have followed Stephen Gamble, but I also decided, while I love Stephen Gamble's art, he's not enough of an inspiration to truly make it into the presentation. That would be more of a if Allison talked about art she loves kind of a thing. But I do like his art a lot. And you would have been right next to him, because that's where you belong. Because you take what you are. What Stephen Gamble does with the color white, you do with the color black. And that's just the truth of it. But back to Fujimoto. Something I truly value, and you can see, if you're a patron, you've seen me playing with panels in the latest chapter of Grim Magic I've been working on, which I'm hoping I can finish that this month. Fingers crossed. Hoping nothing goes horrifically wrong. But Fujimoto's not afraid of playing with panels. Honestly, if I could have, I would have had his Kon moment, where the first time Aki does, summons the fox demon, it's flawless, especially if you've got a physical manga for it, and I can't even explain it. It's just perfect. He has pacing and approaching panels in the same way that a horror manga does, but he uses it to do sick, nasty, cool magic bullshit, like what's happening here, which I won't explain because it's kind of a spoiler. But yeah, I love how he's not afraid to think outside the box with panels. That panels aren't just a frame for the art on the inside, they're part of the art. So absolutely, I say check out Chainsaw Man, just to see how he plays with the panels. But let's keep moving. Oh my gosh, we're getting near the end. Hang on. We're getting near the end, which means we're getting to the real good shit. The real good shit. In a world where this whole presentation has been me talking about real good shit. Is everyone ready for God to enter the chat? Because Ayami Kojima. Okay, I need to calm down. Ayami Kojima, you probably know best as the artist who works on basically all of Castlevania. And her art, I can. She renders things so realistically. She works with like 4 million different mediums. Like, she's got pens, paints, pencils, like acrylics, watercolors, like fucking charcoal. So it's impossible for me to break down her art. But it's why it has this clear, excellent texture on it. And she renders things so beautifully, so realistically, in a way that there's clear, I feel like I could touch this. And it would have dimension. Like, it feels like I could reach into my computer screen and grasp this. And there's so much gorgeous detailing in not just the expression, but the wings, the feathers. She has a clear grasp on the human anatomy, but also the world around the human in a way that it's angelic. There's a reason why I said God entered the chat. She renders things in a way that truly feels like religious in a way. And not just because she does also tend to approach religion imagery in her art, especially through Castlevania, but like she's got a way of rendering that makes things feel, her characters feel powerful, otherworldly. Even the ones who are human. She renders the Belmonts with just as much care as she does the vampires and such, that give them power, raw, sheer power that is almost inexplainable. Everything we've discussed earlier is true doubly for Kojima's art. Not just this rendering, but this composition. The fact that, you know, we've got this clear foreshortening with his leg closer, and, you know, and then a full canvas, not only with how he fills out the canvas, nearly smothering us alongside these flowers he seems to be birthed from, but also that he's in a full scene. A complex one. Not all this detail had to get rendered. Whatever the fuck that is back there. Not everything needs to be perfectly, like, pretty with her art. She knows what to focus on and what can be perhaps skewed to the side, but none of it is handled without care. There's a level of love, passion, ability with her art that I can only assume it's stuff like this that Fujimoto looks at and goes, I wish I had studied anatomy more. Because she's playing on a whole nother field. The way how light is so gorgeously rendered. Always very clear. There's always a clear light source with consistent shadows that never has you lose anything important, but she's not afraid to bathe things in shadow. She's not afraid to bathe things in light. Finding the small details isn't the point, it's the full picture that matters with her. Every part of an image matters. That makes it impossible, seemingly, to zero in on one thing that she does excellently. It's everything. Every piece she does is truly art. In a way that someone says, what is art? I point to this. It's always so gorgeously done and like feels methodic and effortless, but not in a way like she didn't try. You can tell how much she cares with every detail in the hair. Kojima's art is so good, it makes it feel impossible for me to approach analyzing it. It feels impossible for me to think aspirationally of it. Like, I want to sit here and go, fuck, I want to make art like this. But it feels like the folly of man trying to achieve godhood, saying something like that. Like, Kojima's art is so above my level, and it feels like everyone's level. That, like, we just don't have people rendering art like this anymore, you know? Like, and not just like it's cause it's, you know, all digital now. There's just something about how she approaches art that really puts her above the rest. You could put any given piece of hers into a museum, and it fits right alongside other things, you know, like the Mona Lisa and such. I adore her art. I truly, truly do. Which is humongous footsteps to try to follow in. But I do have one more artist to talk about today. Belladonna. Belladonna is another one who has some spicy stuff, but not too explicit. And Belladonna is the last one today. Again, yeah, you'd think I would have had Kojima last, considering I called her God. But Belladonna is kind of my current obsession, and was really the one that prompted me to go, I think I want to talk about all these artists that I like. Because, let me move my giant head so you can truly get this whole picture. Belladonna is another one who is really Belladonna is in those footsteps with Kojima. If anyone is going to follow Kojima's level of ability, I think it's gonna be Belladonna here. It's similar to Kojima. We have this clear level of understanding of the craft to fully put together gorgeous pieces, full pieces that tell a narrative, have an excellent grasp on composition, scale, use of color, use of values. Like, it's sort of romantic in a way, but not like in a romance. It's poetic. Kojima's, or Belladonna's art. It makes me think of, like, like old Shakespeare illustrations. Like that one, it's a very famous painting of Ophelia after she drowns herself. Belladonna's art feels, it's full of that same level of emotion as those old Rothkos and such, rendering Shakespeare's sonnets into a visual that we see with Belladonna. This level of light, the fact there's so much seems to be missing from this picture in terms of like what's going on around this scenario. And what's crazy is so much of Belladonna's art is like Final Fantasy XIV fan art. Like, it's excellent. It's stunning that we have this level of divinity, another clear grasp on emotion and character that it feels nearly impossible to approach. They're another one that I aspire to be more like, but again, it feels foolish to think I could get anywhere close to this. Like Icarus trying to fly closer to the sun. It feels foolish to think I could approach this. Beautiful tragedy, sin and the shame that comes from pursuing something beautiful. Exactly. And they've also got really gorgeous fucking Baldur's Gate art, which is excellent. Honestly, only picking 3 pieces from Belladonna was impossible. There's so many from them that I would have loved to have on here. But like these 3 I chose because they have everything I want in my own art. Where this is an impactful moment in a scene. I don't think the scene is even canon in Baldur's Gate. But it's the climax to a story, gorgeously rendered in this tall framing that not only puts the emphasis on the background where with the cult of evil, Baldur's Gate cult of evil stuff going on back there, but that also emphasizes the foreground and all this blood, this gorgeously rendered blood, beautifully rendered, that has the main thing, the most important thing in the distance, that gives it a level of it's anti-intimate in a way that tells you so much. The fact that the murder is not the important part of the scene, but instead the overarching story around it is gorgeous. Divinity is a great way. Similar to Kojima, there's a level of divinity to their art. But while Kojima's art seemed to heavily lean into literal divinity, literally drawing angels and demons and similar vampiric sort of characters, you know, we get that same level of divinity, but with man, with Belladonna's art. These are not angels. That's man. That is what makes it feel so good. Not let alone how Belladonna illustrates people interacting similarly gorgeously, and not just intimately, like how we saw earlier. They're not afraid to shy away from violence, and it's truly inspiring, not just on an artistic level, but at a storytelling level, that has Belladonna get to be my coup d'etat here at the end, my grand finale. You can hear music with these pictures. Exactly! Messiah gets it. Like I can feel some deity watching over them, whether they orchestrated this moment or not. Yes! It feels like we're getting so much complex story here. Even without knowing anything about Baldur's Gate, I feel like you can clearly get a lot out of here. I don't know jack shit about fucking like Final Fantasy, and I still love their Final Fantasy. I think this is Final Fantasy. So it's the kind of thing where whether or not you know of their fandoms, you can truly enjoy their art. I have no ending page for my presentation. This was the final. This is the final slide. But yeah, I wanted to talk about art that I love a whole lot. That's why I did it on a Monday, because I wanted to make sure I had plenty of time to talk about the art I like, because I like art a lot. Twins. The end. Yeah. The final pick is we get to die. Exactly. Oh. But yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. Aren't they gorgeous? God damn. So please check out all these artists. Even if you decide, like, I don't feel like following them, you know? Like, I do hope you give them a looky-loo. If anything, the fact that Twitter has a media tab is its only valuable source anymore. Because you can click on that to easily get a good, like, spread of their art. And be able to peruse what they make. Because they all deserve lots of love and attention. So yeah. These are what inspire me. You can tell me if there was anything super consistent across all of them, other than being good. But yeah, that's my presentation. Thanks for being here. Rip likes page. How I found artists that other artists liked. Yeah, I think luckily we can still retweet things. But yeah. Bummer. Also, Twitter got rid of, like, all of Brazil, which is stupid. Like, they just got rid of all the Brazil, like, it's just illegal in Brazil now, and that... It's fine. Whatever. We'll always find more artists. Lots of these also have Pixiv, though they might not be as active on Pixiv. Yeah. Is that why Brazil Miku was trending? No! Someone just made What If Miku Was From Brazil. People had a great time drawing What If Miku, drawing that, and then also being like, what if Miku was from other country? And it all spawned out of Brazil Miku, and then Brazil was like, Elon, if you don't, like, ban 5 Nazis, then legally we have to not allow your website in our country. And Elon was like, but I like the Nazis, boo! And so Brazil was like, then your website's illegal in Brazil. And then that happened on Miku's birthday. So that was somehow the, like, series of events. So, yeah. But anyway, people just was like, what if Miku was from Brazil? But yeah, those are the artists I like. You should check them all out. I'm gonna get to work on all the things I constantly have to work on. Forever and always. The most working girl. As much as I want to just play Baldur's Gate, I can't let myself do that again. I have to actually work. So, the trend I saw was very detailed, holy art. That's definitely a thing I like. But yeah, that's gonna be it for today. I'll see you tomorrow. And go have fun looking at art and being inspired by art. And I hope this taught you, to make a moral out of this, that enjoying art is great, especially when you allow yourself to study why. It's one thing to just be like, I like that picture, but it can be a whole new thing when you let yourself figure out, why do I like that picture so much? So yeah, goodbye, have fun, I hope you enjoyed, I'll see you on the flip side, and adios.